Hi everyone, hope that woke you up a little bit. Thank you so much for joining us online today. I am Carissa Figgins. I'm the Assistant Chief of Community Impact with Child Care Aware of Missouri and the founder of the Sparrow's Nest Teen Maternity Home. I consider it a distinct honor and privilege to have you allow this time in your day to listen to me. Thank you so much for making the Community Services Summit a priority, but I want to especially acknowledge the fact that you've carved out time to watch this recording. You, in fact, are demonstrating a whole other level of commitment to your community, and in particular, the children in our community. To honor your time and commitment, I've tried to make our time together as engaging and mildly entertaining as possible. Don't worry if you'll miss out on all my stuttering and spitting. If you've heard me speak before, you know that my spirit animal is a llama, and for that very reason. And even though I am on a screen, you may still need a tissue or two. That being said, be sure to take care of yourself while watching the video. Rest your eyes every once in a while from the screen. Stand up, stretch. We'll have breaks throughout the presentation for moments of reflection, and application and planning. And so make sure that you have something to write on for this session, or open up a doc on your computer or your phone, grab a bottle of water, take a second to smile and high five yourself and say, "Self, you are doing great things today. Well done, self." No doubt if you're watching this video, you may have watched many other videos of fantastic speakers from the Community Services Summit. There is so much expertise to learn from. However, I need to let you know something, a little quid pro quo, if you will. My subject today is centered around the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, if you take the knowledge of the rest of the Community Service Summit, and it's filled with experts, and apply that knowledge to me, you're wrong. I am not an expert in DEI. But wait, before you click me off, hear me out. I've spent over 35 years either working with children in a variety of settings, whether it be the classroom or home visitation or direct services. I've also spent a great deal of time working with the grown-ups in those children's lives. I'm currently the Assistant Chief of Community Impact for Child Care Aware of Missouri, where I help build systems of support and change for early childhood professionals and child care providers. I also advocate on behalf of children and families to ensure that we have safe, high-quality early care and learning opportunities. I'm the founder of the Sparrow's Nest Maternity Home, which is a longer-term housing option for pregnant and parenting teen moms in O'Fallon. The main reason why I chose to talk about this topic is that I realized I have been on a journey of trying to see and understand all the people placed in my path from a pretty young age. My family moved a lot as a kid, and no, we aren't a military family. My father has ADD and a little bit of anger management issues, so we moved for his job opportunities. I remember moving from Kansas City to Memphis then to Little Rock, and my mother making it perfectly clear that we would hear new words in these communities to describe Black people that we were absolutely forbidden to come out of our mouths. In third grade, I remember being asked to stay with Matthew every once in a while during indoor resource. Matthew had a really fancy wheelchair because he had something called cerebral palsy. The teacher needed someone to play with Michael because some of the kids thought they could catch cerebral palsy from Matthew if they got too close to him. I remember in the 5th grade moving to Little Rock, where Bernina Williams made it perfectly clear who was in charge of the playground. And it wasn't because she was African American and I was one of the few white children in the school, because she was actually taller than me. Reading books like Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry just wrecked me, but I kind of thought it was just an unfortunate part of our history. I remember in high school trying to figure out why our classmates felt threatened when one of our other classmates came out as gay. How did that person's individual choice about themselves invoke so much anger from everyone else? When I was in my student teaching, Austin taught me how to navigate part of the autism spectrum in an inclusive classroom as he said, "Roll that beautiful bean footage 30 times a day." As an adult, my husband and I adopted our youngest son from Guatemala. I found out I made the wrongful assumption that even though he is a person of color, his Irish Pacey parents and siblings cannot protect him from discrimination and inequity. Over the years, I found myself saying, well, it is the year 2000, things will finally change for women. Well, it's the year 2010, things will finally change for women. Well, it's the 2021, that glass ceiling surely cannot exist anymore, right? Isn't equal pay for equal work a subject of the past because it's just become part of our everyday? Throughout my life, I seem to have been aware of many things, but I shudder to think of the things I've been ignorant of or chose to overlook. But I decided I wouldn't be that person anymore, because I see generation after generation of children being negatively impacted by grown-ups' decisions. I started having much more intentional conversations to try to learn what the root causes for issues around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Why do people cringe and roll their eyes when they hear that phrase? How can I help my own children navigate this world in a positive manner? So I decided to start gathering more of an academic framework around all of these experiences, conversations, books, and podcasts, and I earned a graduate certificate in diversity and inclusion. And now you are a part of that journey as well. And even though it appears that I've been on this journey for a while, I have a feeling that I'm just getting started. So let's get going from here. There are 6 things that we're going to accomplish in the time that we have together. First off, breathe. I know that there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of feelings and emotions and concerns around diversity, equity, and inclusion. In just a few moments, we'll take a moment to acknowledge that little fear monkey and ask him to get off of your back and open up your heart and mind. Second, we'll take some time for self-reflection. It's hard to know what you don't know. It's also challenging to pass on skills like love and respect if we don't know what we think or feel about those topics as well. Children learn what they live. They live in the spaces and the environments created by us, the grown-ups. So we need to take a moment and see where we are in our own self-awareness. Third, we have a few basic reminders on language acquisition. It's important to see how children learn to speak when we want to teach them how to speak about love and respect to anyone. So some of those basic principles apply when we're teaching children to speak respectfully with love. Fourth, I'm going to give us all a little nudge towards recapturing the art of dialogue. It's 2021 and we still seem to be operating in a mode of children need to be seen, not heard, and then wonder why they spout off. I want to make sure that I give you some practical applications along the way as well. This is all well and good to talk and talk and talk, but I'll share a few practical applications just to prime your incredible brain pump for how you can positively impact the children in your life. And finally, I'm going to ask you to set some goals for today. Of all the things that you will hear me say today, how are you going to use it? And then I'm going to ask you to email me those goals at carissafiggins@gmail.com. All right, so just a little bit more about me as a self-proclaimed defender of childhood. I love children. They absolutely fascinate me. I've been able to build my life around understanding them, studying them, teaching them, but more importantly, learning from them. We grown-ups have gotten way too serious and lost our curiosity somewhere along the way. I've had the privilege of being a classroom teacher, an interventionist, an advocate, and a parent educator. I've had the honor of playing with children to watch them learn for almost 3 decades, which is some of that new math since I'm obviously hardly a day over 29. Don't you just love these new Zoom filters? I have a bachelor's from Texas A&M University, a master's in education from Texas Women's University. I'm a John Maxwell certified speaker, and I recently completed that graduate certificate from Cornell University in diversity and inclusion. I'm currently the Assistant Chief of Community Impact with Child Care Aware of Missouri, and I engage stakeholders all over the state to elevate the importance of early childhood and the first 2,000 days of a child's life. I create safe, high-quality learning environments for young children by advocating and supporting the early childhood professionals and child care providers in their lives. I'm also the proud auntie to Chance, Tucker, Chloe, Lily, and Nicholas, and the fiercely proud mama to my daughter Emma, who is 22 and just graduated from Belmont University and starting her career as an audio engineer. That's one tuition down. Cha-ching. My son Sam, who is 19 and also an audio engineering student at Belmont University, and my son Alex, who is 15 and a freshman at Howell High. I would have none of that without my incredible husband, Robert. We've been married for 29 years and celebrate about 18 of those, but that's a different story for a different day. I'm just saying that maybe we should pay a professional to take care of our plumbing and electrical needs. It's also helpful for you to be aware of my Ergo Manifesto. You need to say that in your best buddy the elf voice San Francisco. Ergo Manifesto. This is my philosophy about children and grown-ups in their lives. I believe children are beautiful human creations. I believe children deserve to be children as long as possible. I believe children have prime opportunities for learning. I believe grown-ups were children. Ergo, I believe grown-ups are beautiful human creations. I believe children deserve grown-ups to be grown-ups. I believe grown-ups have prime opportunities for learning. And I believe grown-ups need to be reminded that they were children. This is the framework that I try to operate from, and everything that we talk about today will come through this filter. So let's move right into our goal. Ergo, breathe. When we see children acting out or exhibiting frustrating, problematic behaviors, very often there's a language issue. Their incredible brains are working faster than their mouths. When grown-ups are acting out, exhibiting frustration, problematic behaviors such as ignorance, hate, etc., can we assume, ergo, that there is a language issue? Are their mouths working faster than their brains? One of the reasons that this is so important to me to start wrapping my heart and mind around all of this is because of this issue. There is a shrinking middle ground in our world today. Now, I am all for competition. You give me a water challenge and I'll be racing to the potty all day, but I am going to beat you. I take Red Rovers and Sally Ride Over extremely seriously. However, if we are accepting this constant culture shift of us versus them, I can guarantee you this is not going to end well for the us. The children in our lives are growing up in a world of greater diversity than ever before. Our language and our words and our definitions are expanding exponentially. We are the grown-ups, and we don't get to abdicate we are the grown-ups, and we don't get to abdicate our responsibility because things have gotten more complicated and multi-layered. We have to show children how to navigate these times. They need to hear it from us. I recognize that there can be a lot of fear and apprehension around trying to honor a culture that welcomes every race, every gender, religion, mobility, ability, and family structure. We are all sensitive to misstepping and saying and doing the wrong things. However, Theodore Roosevelt once said, in any moment of decision, the best thing that you can do is the right thing. The next best thing is the wrong thing. And the worst thing that you can do is nothing. I need you to hear me say, we cannot afford to do nothing. Our children need us to be brave. So there are a few ground rules between you and I today. Remember that you're human. With that comes with an enormous amount of emotions and experiences and perceptions and hormones and just beautiful complexity. You may feel confusion today. You may feel anger. You may feel fear. It's okay. You're not a robot. Identify those feelings and then keep moving a bit on this path with me. Also remember everyone around you, including me, are humans, at least as far as I know. I'm a huge Marvel and Star Wars fan, so there may actually be aliens among us, and that would be the coolest thing ever. But at this point, extend some grace that you may want for yourself to those around you. come at the topic of diversity and equity and inclusion and love and respect from a sense of compassion, but moreover, curiosity. Some of us come to this table with the perspective of, this is weird and uncomfortable. And some of us come to this table with, this is weird and uncomfortable. Either way, I ask that we all be humane, be civil, have good manners, be humane as humans. Helping children find the language to speak respectfully about our similarities and differences is a lot like learning to speak a new language. Maybe you have an experience like this. Okay, if there is no one around you at least chuckling over that clip right now, could one of you get the wave going like in baseball? Thanks. Humor is universal. We have all had that experience when someone is laughing so hard that they can't get their words out. They can't even catch their breath. We don't completely understand what they're talking about, but we can relate to their laughter and humor. Helping children of any age speak respectfully in a culture that welcomes every race, gender, religion, mobility, ability, and family structure can be centered in that universal language of laughter and humor. One way of eliminating the fear and uncertainty about teaching children to speak respectfully and with love is to give yourself a break and realize that we are all learning to speak a new language, not necessarily a spoken language, but an awareness of this language. So let's break this down just a bit more. I want you to take 3 to 5 minutes and write down how you would tell someone step by step to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You can do this by yourself, but I would love it if you would just grab 3 to 4 people seated around you and you each chose a different persona. Choose one of the following individuals to tailor your how-to instructions. For instance, maybe you choose to write the instructions to speak the language of a 50-year-old female boss, or your French pen pal, or Nathan, your 5-year-old neighbor, or an African-American Marine who uses a wheelchair. Take a few minutes to organize yourself. No pressure, I'll just sit here on the other side of the screen, waiting for you to complete this groupthink, and then we'll reconvene in about 5 to 7 minutes. Ready? Go. Okay, so pencils down. Now before that we process this activity, I want you to watch one more video. I recently asked my friends Cadence and Campbell to do the same activity with me. All right, so I'm Carissa Figgins and I'm here with my friends Campbell and Cadence, and they are going to teach me how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So are you ready? So what's the first thing that I should do?
Get the bread out.
Get the bread? Okay, so I got the bread.
You have to take the bread out.
Oh, I gotta take it out. I gotta take it out. So how do you get the bread out?
There's a twisty tie.
There's a twisty tie, okay?
So you spin it.
Oh, you spin it, okay. So you spin it?
No.
No?
Spin this.
Oh, so spin the black part? Like this?
Yes.
Okay, got it. They are experts. They know exactly what they're doing. Okay, so we spun the black thing. Now what?
You grab 2 pieces of
I grab 2 pieces of bread.
but you have to reach your hand.
Oh, okay, I gotta reach my hand in here? Okay, then I get 2 pieces of bread.
And then put it on the plate.
Okay, put it on the plate. I'm gonna slide this over here. Now what do I do?
Then you pull those apart.
Pull the bread apart?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then you put peanut butter here.
okay, so I put peanut butter here.
You have to scoop it out.
Oh,
with a spoon
I gotta
and
scoop
spread
it
on the
out.
bread.
Okay, so do I scoop it out with a spoon? Okay, so I open up the peanut butter. And I do what with the peanut butter?
And you scoop it out
I scoop it out,
and spread it on this.
spread it on this one right here. You got some really, I can see that you are a creamy family, not a crunchy family. All right. What's next?
Then you get the jelly.
I get the jelly. Thank you.
And then unscrew it.
Unscrew it. Uh-huh.
And then get the knife and put it on this one.
So I get the knife and I put it on this one.
And you screw it out.
Oh, I didn't know that peanut butter and jelly sandwiches were so complicated. So do I do like the whole thing on it?
No.
No? What do I do?
You scoop some out with the knife. And
How much?
as much as the knife can hold.
As much as the knife can hold. Gosh, that seems like the, okay, if you say the much as the knife can hold.
Or you can use a spoon.
Yeah, I should have used the spoon for the jelly and the knife for it. Okay,
And just
so I got the jelly on the bread, then what?
And you spread it.
I spread it, okay. Like that? Do I like go to the edges?
Yep.
Okay.
And then you take this piece and put it onto that piece.
So do I put this piece and put it on this piece? Like
You
that?
take the spoon.
Oh, the spoon's not supposed to be there?
No.
Okay. That looks pretty good. And that's how you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich according to Cadence and Campbell. Thank you. So, when I rewatch this video, several things pop out to me. Cadence and Campbell approached me with such gentleness. As children, they exhibited patience as I tried to understand what they were sharing with me. Did anyone notice how Campbell spent most of the time just observing me and taking me in? Throughout the whole exercise, both girls maintained a smile, they laughed with me, and they kept trying to help me understand from their perspective how to make this darn peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If a certain approach didn't work, then they found a different way of connecting to me. Without a huge, in-depth cultural backstory, in just a moment, these girls were able to intuitively see our differences and honor our similarities. They found what language we had in common, what common experiences we shared, and were able to simultaneously host and guest both the similarities and differences. When you were walking through the exercise with the people around you, what lessons did you learn? How did we have to cater the delivery? How did humor play into the process? No doubt, as the grown-up, you had questions about the individual you were trying to teach. Those questions, that inquisitiveness, are the beginnings of respect. If we had not asked those questions, if we had just injected the same formula to every persona, what would the end result be? We didn't have to have all the answers to those questions to accomplish our goal. So how did respect change the end result? As we intentionally lean in and help children speak respectfully to anyone they encounter, it makes sense that we wouldn't just throw the word around, but we would really define it for ourselves. In this next activity, take 3 minutes to write down or put it in your phone the answers to these fill in the blanks. Respect isn't. Respect looks like this. Respect feels like. Respect sounds like. And respect is defined as. So I want you to take a few minutes while we pause for you to reflect on a few or all of those statements. Okay, so now we've come to a stopping point. Take a few minutes and tell the person to your right or across the aisle how you answered that last question. Respect is defined as, and why that's an important definition to you. How do you define respect? This is a really important activity to engage the children in our lives as well. For me, respect is caring how the words and actions may impact others. Respect has 2 parts: having respect for someone because of how my actions impact others, and showing respect by changing my actions to make sure I don't have a negative impact. Respect is always a choice. It doesn't mean agreement, but understanding. I may not agree with what you believe in, but I can at least start to understand your line of thinking and why you believe the way you do. We know what respect is and what it looks like and what it sounds like and what it feels like. Now let's talk about who we give our respect to and how you decide whether or not to give someone your respect. I'll read an idea about how someone might get respect, and you give me a thumbs up if it's something that makes you choose to respect someone. So, does someone get your respect because of their intelligence? Thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe in the middle. Does someone get your respect because they're smart? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Is it about them being a certain age? Like, do you choose to respect someone because they're older than you versus younger? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Does someone have to earn your respect? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Does someone get your respect by showing respect to you first? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Or does someone just get your respect just for being human? Thumbs up or thumbs down? This is another simple activity to lead children through and create spaces where it's safe for them to talk about their own belief systems. You can make it fun and simple. If the children need more movement, consider asking them to stand up to show their agreement, or even including like crouching or half standing for partial agreement. Depending on their answers, you can ask them to expand. For instance, how about someone who would earn their respect and should respect be given? As we move into some more self-reflection, now hold up. I think some of you just rolled your eyes at me when you saw this next slide. You might have thought, come on now, how much more self-reflection is she going to make us endure? Well, my friend, you can't teach what you don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. Fear and confusion often crowd into places that have not been defined. When we don't clearly define what we believe in, and when we're afraid to make decisions, we often become deer in headlights and not do anything. And remember our good old buddy Theodore Roosevelt's advice? Often the worst things that we can do are nothing. So we dig a little deeper into our grown-ups' lives. So we dig a little deeper into our grown-up selves with this slide. When you were a child, how were you taught to show respect and manners? Right, wrong, or indifferent? Think about that. Now as a grown-up, I show respect, and my manners reflect it in this way. Just have that simmer a little bit and see what you come up with. Actions speak louder than words. Remember this new language that we're learning? It's not one that is spoken, but it's one that we are acutely aware of as grown-ups who truly want the best for children in our lives. Youth are learning every day from all the grown-ups around them. They learn from us. How one behaves is much more an indicator of what one believes in than what one says. As the experts in the room, you all know that over 2/3 of our communication is nonverbal. Ergo, what we say confirms what we have already demonstrated in our actions. Do you have a faith tradition? For those of us who claim a faith tradition, there are certain tenets that should guide our interactions and treatments of others, especially those that are different from us. And even if you don't consider yourself a person of faith, there are principles or guidelines that you follow in life. No matter the source or direction, this is what it means to have morals and ethics. It's each our common courtesy. To put it a different way, I recently heard this quote from Shola Richards during the 2021 Global Leadership Summit. Your legacy is not about titles and degrees. Your legacy is defined how you treat others. That is civility. Civility is a demonstration of respect. Our own morals, our own ethics, our own civility, those belief systems are a part of us. However, it's quite another in how we live out those beliefs. It's not just our thoughts, but really the things we actually do, the policies we support, who our friends are and who are not. Those actions are the things that we really mean. From a communications and language perspective, we communicate to the world, but more importantly, we communicate to the children in our lives a lack of consistency if what we say we believe and our own grown-up behavior. For instance, we may be in a huge hurry at Target. We pick up one item in a certain aisle, turn the next aisle, actually find a better item. We put that one on our cart, but we leave the first item in the wrong place. Not a big deal, we're just in a huge hurry. We get out to the parking lot, throw things in the back of the car, but the cart corral is a little full. We do our best to kind of finagle the cart into the corral, jump up in our car and speed off, not noticing that the wind has actually got hold of our cart and has guided it into the side of someone else's car. We aren't bad people because of this. We need a moment of grace in our lives. Now, what if you are the person coming in behind you? What are your thoughts and actions when you see those random items on the shelf? What if our car is the one that got struck by the cart? Are we still extending grace and understanding? Are we totally up in arms? We can't believe that somebody made those decisions. Do you see how our beliefs and our behaviors are in dissonance? Sometimes a simple way of harmonizing our beliefs and behaviors is simply through manners. I was doing some quick research of speaking of the language of love and respect to people with disabilities, and I came across these 10 commandments from the Office of Disability Employment Policy. I'm going to read some of them to you and see if you start to see a pattern. When talking with a person of disability, speak directly to that person. Is that novel? Okay. When introduced to a person with disability, it's appropriate to offer to shake hands. Okay. When meeting a person who's visually impaired, always identify yourself and others who may be with you. When conversing in a group, remember to identify the person to whom you are speaking. And this is just for people who have disabilities. If you offer assistance, wait until the offer is accepted. Treat adults as adults. Leaning on or hanging on a person's wheelchair is similar to leaning on or hanging onto a person and is generally considered annoying. Listen attentively when you are talking with a person who has difficulty speaking. Be patient and wait for the person to finish. When you're speaking to a person who uses a wheelchair or a person who uses crutches, place yourself at eye level in front of the person to facilitate the conversation. To get the attention of a person who is deaf, tap the person on the shoulder or wave your hand. Look directly at the person. Speak clearly, slowly, and expressively. Keep hands, cigarettes, and food away from your mouth while you're speaking to someone. Don't be afraid to ask questions when you're unsure of what to do. Is it just me, or are all of those actions and rules appropriate for any human we interact with? Have we gotten to the point that basic common courtesy we should extend to anyone from any race, gender, religion, mobility, ability, and family structure has to be literally spelled out and employment documents? And the answer is yes. As you start to reflect on why it is important to build the language of love, be sure to start with your reasons. Why do you want this? Why do you want children to speak respectfully? Before we leave, I want to leave you with this poem from Dorothy Law that's been a constant reminder to me after my third grade teacher, Mrs. Pope, had this poster hanging in her classroom. As the grown-ups, we have a huge responsibility and a sometimes overwhelming responsibility to our children. We are literally shaping generations. But I encourage you to continue to embrace that responsibility and embrace the children in your lives. Don't abdicate that responsibility out of fear. Come at this with a posture of learning and curiosity and humility, and be brave for them. Let's create a nice place for them to live together. If children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. If children live with hostility, they learn to fight. If children live with ridicule, they learn to be shy. If children live with shame, they learn to feel guilty. If children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. If children live with tolerance, they learn to be patient. If children live with praise, they learn to appreciate. If children live with acceptance, they learn to love. If children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. If children live with honesty, they learn truthfulness. If children live with security, they learn to have faith in themselves and others. And if children live with friendliness, they learn that the world is a nice place in which to live.